Good morning everyone and welcome to Chicago. I arrived here yesterday from Washington Dulles and landed at Chicago O'Hare parallel to this Iberia A330. O'Hare is Chicago's largest airport, but today I'll be flying from Chicago's secondary airport, Chicago Midway. Midway has frequent domestic service from Delta, Allegiant, Frontier and Avilo, but by far the most common airline here at Midway is Southwest Airlines, with 94% of all commercial flights departing Midway being Southwest flights. But along with these domestic airlines, Midway also have two international carriers, Volaris and the airline we'll be flying today, Porter. I'll be flying Porter from here in Chicago over to Moncton in New Brunswick with a stopover at Toronto Billy Bishop. Midway is located south of Chicago and is often referred to as the USS Midway by pilots due to its boxy shape and relatively short runways. It was named Midway Airport in 1949 after the Battle of Midway, which took place in 1942. Checking in here at Midway was surprisingly easy, and despite being 6 a.m, the airport was still very busy and didn't have many places to eat. However, I eventually found somewhere to have some breakfast. After that, I then headed towards my gate for today's flight in Concourse A. To commemorate the Battle of Midway, the entryway to Concourse A features a Dauntless A24 Banshee hanging from the ceiling. After I found my gate, I caught a glimpse of my aircraft for today's flight, Charlie Golf Lima Quebec Bravo, a 16-year-old Dash 8 Q400. Porter were founded in 2006 and have had most of the Q400s they operate today since the start of their operations. The seat today is definitely nothing special, but for the short flights Porter operates, I really don't have too much to complain about. I was also fairly surprised how empty the flight was, with barely a quarter of the aircraft full. But shortly after everyone boarded, we began our pushback and taxi out to runway 4 left. After takeoff, we began our climb up over Lake Michigan, and the cabin crew came around with a beverage and snack service, of which I went for a Coke with some crisps. Porter have a very good reputation as one of Canada's best regional airlines, and one of the reasons for this is the airport we'll be landing into today. Like Chicago Midway, Toronto Billy Bishop is Toronto's secondary smaller airport and is located only a mile away from downtown Toronto. This makes it very convenient, but also Bishop's small size makes it easy for connecting passengers too. Porter have 4 destinations in the United States and 21 destinations across Canada, and their flights all arrive and depart in Banks, making Billy Bishop a frequent stopover point for passengers like me who are traveling to airports in Canada with few or no direct flights to the United States. After arriving into Billy Bishop, I headed through Canadian Customs before heading back through security and down into the main waiting area here at the airport. While fairly busy, the airport did seem nicely designed, with a few nice amenities like a Hudson News store, a coffee shop, a bar, and of course some very nice views over the apron. Not before long, my next flight to Moncton started boarding, and this time I would be flying on Charlie Foxtrot Lima Quebec Yankee, a slightly younger 13-year-old Dash 8 Q400. Departing runway 26 to the west, we then turned eastward to begin our flight to New Brunswick. Just like our last flight, the flight attendant started coming around the cabin with some food and drinks, and this time I went for an orange juice with some nuts. As mentioned previously, Porter have operated their fleet of Q400 since the airline's launch, but these aircraft are starting to age and now a new aircraft is on the horizon. In 2013, Porter placed a conditional order for 30 Airbus A220-100s, but because Toronto Billy Bishop can't accept jet aircraft under its current operational guidelines, the conditions to this order would be that Billy Bishop gets an expansion so that Porter can continue operations at the airports with their new fleet of aircraft. Unfortunately for Porter, the Canadian Transport Administration refused the expansion of Billy Bishop, and so in 2021 Porter cancelled their A220 order and has instead opted for 50 of the new Embraer E195 E2s, and will base these from Toronto Pearson instead of Toronto Billy Bishop. Currently, Porter haven't stated when they plan to retire their Q400s, but when they do, it's likely that their operations at Billy Bishop will come to an end. While the E2s will give Porter a greater range, allowing them to start flights to countries like Mexico, to me it seems it's their Billy Bishop operations that have given Porter an edge with convenience over other Canadian airlines like Air Canada and WestJet. Overall, I have no complaints with Porter. Their connection through Billy Bishop made them stand out among other airlines, as when returning from Moncton to Washington DC, I flew aboard Air Canada. I first flew an Air Canada Rouge Airbus A319 from Moncton to Toronto Pearson, and then an Air Canada A220-300 onwards to Washington Dulles. While Air Canada's A220 was an amazing aircraft to fly with big windows and a large touchscreen TV, the rest of Air Canada I found to be appalling. Their A319 was old and cramped, departing late, and the pre-clearance of US Customs at Toronto Pearson was a mess. While pre-clearing customs as a concept is a good idea, I can't describe to you how much of a mess it was in reality. After a long walk through the terminal, you then have to wait in a room for your name to be called out so you can get a ticket retaining to your checked bag, and then you have to join a long line of people waiting to clear customs. Almost every US-bound flight that day departed late, and I frequently witnessed people trying to jump the line explaining that their flight was about to depart, but almost everyone else in the line had to explain that their flights were also departing soon, meaning everyone in line was late to their gate. Of course, with this many passengers not being boarded yet, the flight isn't going to leave without them, so in the end, my flight to Washington departed late, along with every other US-bound plane. The flight I flew was Air Canada Flight 1076, and this is a screenshot of the flight's performance over the previous 10 days. Red means cancelled, yellow means delayed, and green means on time, and as you can see, only one flight over those 10 days departed on time. This is why I would much rather fly Porter over a larger airline like Air Canada, and I would especially prefer to fly them through an airport like Billy Bishop. Because of its small size, you can get to any gate within a couple of minutes. This is also why I'm hesitant at Porter's plans for a base at Toronto Pearson, but I look forward to seeing how Porter try and elevate above other airlines in other ways as they expand in the coming years. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.